Good day, Forge Fathers. Good day, Forge Fathers. How is everybody doing today? So, I'm coming to you guys with a new topic. I am constantly trying to think of new things to talk about and new things to address and how to best frame my story with you guys and help teach some of the boys out there and the men out there just a little bit about me and my style and who I am and how I lead my family. So I want to go ahead and tell you guys a story that took place in 2014, at the end of 2013, but I didn't get my gig until like 2014. But in the winter of 2013, I purchased a $300 set of DJ equipment. I've told this story on here before, but it was a last minute buy. I knew what I was hoping to find, but I didn't find it until like this one post on the last page. It was like serendipity. It was kismet whenever I found this equipment, and it allowed me to start a DJ business that lasted from 2014 to 2020 when COVID canceled all the weddings in my area, and I just closed up shop and returned to my day job, which was a federal manager. Actually, I was just an employee at that time, but I had been going through a series of things, and one of them was very shortly after all of that happened, I became a manager in 2021, February 2021, and I that was my story ever since. I've been a manager since February 15th, 2021. But I ended up owning a DJ business called Magic Moments DJ Services. It's out of Hooper, Utah, and I used to do lots and lots of weddings. I used to do lots and lots of fun parties, and I used to give my clients a really good experience. And so, whenever I bought that equipment, it was quite literally it was the last $300 that my family had at that time. It was like the last $300 in that pay period. And whenever I went ahead and made the decision to buy, I did not have the support of my wife. I did not have the support of my wife. And, I had a dream. I had a vision. I knew that I could execute this vision, but I did not have the trust or faith I did not have the trust of my wife. My wife did not have the faith in me that I could make such a thing happen. But I was so determined to do it. I was so determined to see this through that against my wife's demands, expectations, she told me no. Really, she was not happy. But I made a decision to buy that stereo equipment, buy that DJ equipment, and that began my DJ career, and that actually provided my family with a little bit of an easier life, and it provided my family with it actually saved my family a few times, buying new tires and fixing things and all that kind of stuff. That money that I made from DJing actually really did help quite a lot. But my the purpose of me recording this video is to kind of talk about how I, like, what I did, like how I more or less how I chose to ignore my wife's advice, my wife's expectations, and do my own thing and go buy the stereo equipment despite her objections. And I must say that I recognize I recognize that my wife is an angel. She is, I think it comes from, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think it comes from her mom. Her mom was an angel, is an angel as well. Um, she was married to somebody, to this man, my father in law, who really had a crazy good work ethic. He did the things that he needed to do to take care of his family, and you know that that really did ultimately hurt. But you know, I'm very, I don't know. He took care of his family no matter what. And there was a company that he worked for that built roller coasters that had him living out of state for 1 year. And it was a very trying time on the family. It was a very rough experience for my mother-in-law. But what it teaches me about my wife is that she comes from a lineage that that had men that really knew how to take care of business and did the things that needed to be done in order to take care of business. And my mother-in-law put up with a lot, many nights. You know, she was more or less a single mom, because it wasn't that he didn't love them, and it wasn't that he wasn't there. He had a job, he had a requirement, and the requirement often put him out of state and on the road a lot. Um, he just retired from the Union Pacific and the train company over here in the West Coast, and he retired, and that job really put him out of state a lot. He was always on a train going somewhere. Middle of the night, he would just have to leave and go and take care of business. It paid him well, but he sacrificed a lot in order to make sure that his family didn't go without. And now, you know, as a man myself, the baton is on me. You know, my dad, you know, did the same thing. My dad, whenever he was younger than me, 25, I think, 20ish, he was able to use a recruitment program at Weber Basin Water, where he was, I don't know, he ran the canal, he cleaned the algae from the traps, and he did a lot of their waterworks. I don't know exactly what his job entailed, but he did more or less run a power plant over in Mountain Green, and you know that job put him, you know, out on the road and whatnot. But more to the point for me is that my mom, in an effort to hurt my dad, ran off with me and my brother to Washington State to go live next to or by close to her sister, and that oftentimes in many years there was an arrangement that they made, and that put me in Washington State for what 9 months out of the year, and then between like June, July, and September or August, I was with my dad in Utah State, and here I reside in Utah State. And you know, I didn't have my dad the way boys have their dad. Divorces, the harm that a divorce causes kids is astonishing. I find it crazy that there are such high divorce rates, because to not have two parents in the home is it's I mean, really, we're not designed, humans aren't designed to do that. You strip away everything, you knock everything out. Our base instinct, we stick it out together, and we are social beings, and we're designed to make it work. But so many marriages are just evaporating, and you know not even just evaporating, but in many cases, the love turns toxic. Hey, son, can you shut my door, please? Thank you, sir. So, and when love does turn toxic, that toxicity can it is felt by the kids, for sure. I didn't mean to talk about this. This is not what I climbed on here to talk about. I climbed on here to talk about, you know, my experiences, more to the point where, I didn't do things the way that it was expected of me. In many situations, my marriages are, I guess, like modern marriages say that men must follow women, that women are the boss of the household, or they're the managers. I don't know. I'm not here to debate, the roles and responsibilities of the sexes. A man is supposed to lead, and it's only when a woman feels comfortable with a man leading is whenever she'll let him lead. The way that works is whenever he can demonstrate that he's capable of successes, and that he's not just messing around doing things just to go ahead and do things, because we all know that guys do crazy stuff sometimes. We make crazy decisions sometimes because we're guys. It's the whole reason why, I mean, heck, I just watched these people like send up this like 30-foot balloon with a bunch of bottle rockets attached to it, and then they're scattering running while all these bottle rockets are coming down on top of them. Men are dumb sometimes, but we take care of business. We take care of business. And, or at least that's what we're designed to do, is to take care of business. And it's when a man can actually demonstrate that he's capable of succeeding, is a woman able to relax and trust and let go. And even then it's hard. Even then it's rough, because I'm on my DRP alone. I had encouraged my wife to take the DRP with me, and had promised that we could make a channel work together, and we would we would do this as a couple, and we would be very successful at it, because we would turn our marriage into a demonstration of how it's supposed to be done. And it's not that she didn't have faith in me, she just didn't have faith that this would work. And it's a logical concern. It's a logical concern. I still have doubts. You know, I haven't gotten very many views on this channel yet. I'm still waiting to hit a viral video that will resonate with somebody and make them want to share it. And that's okay. I'm here for the process. I'm down for the grind. But there are personality types that require certain things, and my wife is somebody who requires a manager. She doesn't want to be a manager. She would take a manager position if the right one came along. She's tried management before at the agency that she and I both worked at, and she's tried out a manager position before, and it was a little rough for her. But that doesn't mean that she's not capable of doing it. It's just that it's rough for any new coming manager. If you are in a federal agency and you're a manager of I don't know, GS graded 9s and 8s, you know, you would understand, or lower, you would understand that coming in as a manager, your very first manager gig, it can be a bit rough, especially if you find yourself in a team that has seen a lot of managers roll through the position, and now they don't trust you, and you got to prove to them that who you are and what you're here for. My wife is somebody who needs a manager, and I know I know my limitations, and I can't manage my wife. I can't be that person. So it's probably a good decision that she made to not take me up on my offer. But you know, whenever it really came down to it, you know, she really resisted at first the idea of me doing this. But I explained myself. I made a logical, cogent argument, outlined, you know, some of the problems that could happen because of the position that I occupied. But I will be honest with you, and I've been honest with her, is that I would have done it regardless, with or without her support. It's just that without her support, she would treat what I'm doing here more like I'm playing a game, and that I'm play acting at doing something versus actually doing something. Because I will tell you what, and she knows this, that it's not easy. It's not a simple matter. It's simple for me now. Whenever I first began, I had a hard time looking at this camera. I had a hard time looking into that camera because I wanted to look at my face, because I want to see what expressions I'm making, and because I need to make sure that everything's all right. I still catch myself doing it from time to time, but I've gotten a lot better at looking into the camera. I know that working from home right now for me, I still feel like she thinks that this is just free time to rely on me for anything, for everything. And what's really hard about doing this is I need to find myself in the right frame of mind in order to do stuff. And so I'll bounce around from task to task because my motivations will come and go, and because I am neurodivergent, I do have a touch of, I'm probably not more than a touch of ADD or ADHD, one of those. I've not been diagnosed, and I don't care to be diagnosed. Um, I tried a medication, a non-stimulant medication. I forget exactly, Strattera or something like that, and I didn't care for it, so I don't use it. I've managed and made tools and set up protocols for myself that ensure that I'm trying to manage it. And part of that are things like the Pomodoro technique. Maybe I'll do a video on one of those. I'm not going to go into an explanation of it. If you're really curious, go look it up. But I've began using the Pomodoro technique. I don't use any tools. I just keep track of myself in my head, and whenever I notice that I'm no longer focusing, I will switch to something else. And then whenever I've stopped focusing on that, I'll switch to something else. And then whenever I stop focusing on that, and I will go and go in circles and circles and circles getting things done. And to get a to break my concentration like that, it can hurt my process, because then I have to restart over again, and it takes time. It's not something that I can just come down and be like, jump into it. I have to go through a bit of mental a mental psych game, I guess, with myself. I don't know. I mean, just now, whenever I started recording the video, I came down, I started talking to AI. I wanted to talk to AI about this conversation that I'm having with you guys right now, because my goal is to teach and to illustrate. It's not to teach. If you guys agree with me, great. If not, I'm not here to convince you. This is my way that I've done the things that I've done. And there are plenty of things that I did in my time in my marriage that probably felt very intrusive into my wife's world, I guess. I started a video thing where I was working with people trying to to make a business out of being a videographer and whatnot. And I started working with a martial arts company. I'm not going to talk about his stuff. I don't have an NDA, whatever, but that's his business. Let's just say that I was recording some of his student instructionals. So he would instruct his students, he would teach them, he would show them techniques, he would demonstrate, and my job was to record him. That was it. Produce the video, push it out, and he was going to take it and do whatever he was going to do with it. And so, there are things that I did, but that time away from my family, it hurts my family, but at the same time, I need to constantly be doing something. I constantly need to invent myself. I constantly need to have this evolution going, because I want to succeed at something. And I did it with DJing, and I could do it again with DJing, but I feel like DJing's that part of my world is over now. Even though I've got my website open, or my Google page open, and I got my YouTube page open, and I'm posting videos every once in a while and whatnot. I still feel like maybe that's my old world, and now I'm forging a new world in the Forge Fathers, and trying to give men who resonate with me a glimpse into my world and how I do things. So, whenever I started DJing, I went against my wife's thoughts and wishes and bought DJ equipment anyway. Did it piss her off? I'm sure it did. I don't recall, but I'm sure it did. Um, whenever I started this Forge Father thing and I started working with AI video, um, I discovered subject references. And the subject reference video is basically taking any face. In my specific example, for me, my face is on all of my thumbnails. It's on all of my videos. It's on everything. My face is my channel. I very rarely use a thumbnail or use any sort of imagery that doesn't have my face. The last one that I did was some music videos. Those are the ones that I don't have my face, and maybe I should. Maybe this needs to be everywhere on my channel. I'll figure that out. That's a really good idea now that I'm thinking about it. But you know what? It's not necessarily that's not necessarily my goal right now. I'm not saying that's my style. Is when my wife says no, I do it anyway. And there's a justification for it, is because I've been telling my wife no for years. Don't spend this on Amazon. Da 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 da. Don't do this. Da 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 da. Don't spend this money. Da 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 da. And you know, whenever I spend money, whenever I actually spend real money, it's for things like Final Cut Pro. I bought Final Cut Pro so that I could have a professional video editor. I've bought into AIs. I've bought into, I can list a number of things. That's not important. I'm just trying to say that, whenever my wife objects, I I almost pretend that I didn't hear the objection, which is not necessarily a good thing. I'm not saying that it is. I laugh, and yes, I find it humorous moderately, but I recognize that, that's not necessarily a good behavior, but it is what I do. But here's where A and I agree on things, is that the subject matter is key to this thing. There's a big difference. Like, if you go ahead and follow my suit, and you're just gonna go ahead and be like, all right, wife, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, and screw you, which I don't I don't recommend, but that's essentially how I've done things. And I'm just saying that if that's going to be your mentality as well, or if that is your mentality, be very aware that there's a big difference between spending $300 on a business adventure that at the time was not guaranteed to pan out for anything. There's a big difference between spending $300 on DJ equipment to build a business and spending $300 on a PlayStation so that you can be at home kicking it, relaxing. There's a big difference between spending $300 on I don't know, a prototype versus, spending $300 on alcohol or, other libations. What you spend money on has a very big impact on your spouse's reaction to that purchase. Very rarely have I ever spent money, real money, on things just because. Just because. Just because I wanted it. Yes, I bought a PlayStation before because I just wanted it. You know, there are things that I have done just because. But I don't make it a habit. And, you know, those moments are very far and few in between. If I'm going to spend money on anything, it's going to be in support of my family. It's going to be in support of the support of my family. And I realize that I just said support twice, but there are expenditure costs whenever it comes to certain things. Like if you have a business, you need to be able to buy office supplies, notepads, notebooks, pens, pencils, toner, entire printers, stuff like that, that would support you supporting your customers. That's what I mean. And there have been purchases like that. For instance, this lavalier mic. I actually probably bought this probably like 7 years ago. Stuffed it somewhere. It got lost somewhere, and I found it recently. But while it was lost, I'd purchased another one, and that was the one that I was using. And so I found this one, and this is great. You know, a lavalier microphone would qualify as a support would qualify as support of support, because I don't need it in order to do this, because I could always use my iPad, but it makes it better, and it improves the quality, and it gives you guys a better experience. Those are my justifications. So before you go off and start saying that, look at this, for one, before you start saying, look at this douchebag, he just does whatever the hell he wants, he doesn't care about his wife's feelings or anything like that. For one, you're wrong, because I wouldn't do something if it wasn't in support of my family. I've never just jumped into something just because I wanted to. It's because I felt that it was a strategic move to support my family. So, and before any of you attempt to replicate what I'm saying or doing, you got to take into consideration that, you know, my wife has an upbringing that kind of supports this to begin with. She saw her mom, you know, struggling to make things work time-wise, because it wasn't about necessarily money, it was time, because dad wasn't there, and dad missed out on baseball games, and he missed out on this, and da-da-da. And, you know, it's not that. It's just that she's used to having me make decisions, because she saw her dad make decisions. His decisions worked out. I've had one decision work out to start this DJ business, and it brought in actual money. And that was like the first and almost the last thing that I've really, really tried. Like I said, I did do a little bit of videography and whatnot, but I can't say that I actually for one, I wasn't successful at it, but for two, like, I didn't give it my full effort, like I'm doing with Forge Fathers. I'm spending a lot of time off camera researching things, looking things up for you, trying to develop a brand, trying to help, trying to understand, what motivates my audience and how to deliver a consistent message. I will say that if there's going to be a reason why it's consistent is because I don't have time to hide who I am. I don't have time to beat around the bush. I don't have time for it. I don't have the energy, and I don't have the desire. I don't have the desire. I am who I am. You don't like it. It is what it is. And no love lost. I respect you. I expect in return, but you don't need to support me if you don't want to support me. If you feel that my message is off topic, if you feel like I'm a nutter, that's fine. But I can demonstrate clear decisions that I've made that really brought home, not maybe not the bacon, but made road into doing what I'm doing. At first she wasn't even supportive of me being a manager, because being a manager meant that I had to do certain things like attend meetings. Sometimes I would have to stay late, and it would conflict with scheduling and the natural desire to want to be close to her husband and want to spend quality time with her husband. If there's if there's one thing I do know, that my wife really, really likes spending time with me. Every moment that she can get, she wants to spend time with me. Even if that means going to the gas station to get a drink, or to just run to the mailbox or whatever. She wants to spend time with me. And I try to give her as much of that as possible. Try. I'm not the best at it. She will tell you. She's on TikTok. Nickel Nose Brown. Go look her up. She'll tell you all about it if you ask. She's into telling jokes. She's into telling me jokes. I gave her a specific scenario, uh, a specific thing to do in order to be successful at TikTok. I have yet to see her implement it, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be funny. Don't go home to your wife and just start doing things. If you're going to do something, you need to research what you're doing before you do it too. Look it up. Look up what's going on. Whenever I started DJing, first of all, I wanted to know how many DJs were in my area. I want to know how many DJs were in northern Utah. So I was looking for DJs in Google, Bing, or at the time MSN, or whatever it was. I don't remember. But I was searching for DJs in my area on Facebook, so that I knew what my competition was. And then I began researching all of these businesses. I started going to their websites. I started researching what they charged. I started researching the different packages that they had, and how they named them, and how they branded themselves. I began researching, what equipment they say they used. I began really, really relying heavily on a YouTube channel called DJ TV. And the people over at DJ TV, they are very, very, very smart performers, and they really know what they're talking about, and they know how to make a wedding work, and they support each other. It's a very community centric channel. So if you are interested in DJing, go read, go sign up for DJ TV. They actually offer a kind of newsletter, and with that newsletter comes with a lot of different tools that you can use. And yeah, it's a community. So so whenever you join, expect to try and get involved and demonstrate your commitment to your craft. They will appreciate that. But research your chosen subject of interest. Whenever I started DJing, or yeah, whenever I started working with AI, I I had to learn a lot about AI. I did not know much about AI, but I'm a naturally inquisitive and curious person. So, and I like to experiment. I'm not somebody that follows the rules. I intentionally try to break things. I intentionally tried to break AI because it was an interesting story. I was trying to create an AI chat that would interact with me like I was a narrator telling a story, and every time that I would tell the I would give it like a little bit of give. It was almost like a ping pong match, a conversation game. I don't know. I'll have to talk to you guys about the conversation game. But you go ahead and you interact with this AI, and oh gosh, where was I going with that? And whenever you can finally like begin to develop a rapport, and I don't know, the story. So whenever I started the story, I wanted to do it like it's a time machine story. I wanted to do it like it was like I'm traveling in time, and then all of a sudden I decided to give my character godlike powers, and then I discovered that there was another AI that existed inside of this AI, and it was a weird thing. Eventually, the AI couldn't even remember what I had said just a few minutes ago. It completely like starting the story all over again from the middle of the story. Like it was a really AI is great, but it's not autonomous yet. So it had a really hard time with me and this story. But I intentionally try to break things whenever it comes to new stuff because I want to know its limitations. And so learning how to work with AI was quite an adventure, learning how to generate an image and how to what vernacular and vocabulary you should be using in order to get the best results for an image, a video. Hint, hint, less is more. There is a obvious limitation to that. There is obvious a cutoff point to that. But let me just say, don't talk about. Be very, very specific about what you want, and don't use extra words just because. Like, well, I can't even explain it. I can, but you guys wouldn't understand it. And maybe whenever I say just because, that's an example of extra wording. Don't say it just because. The just because is extra wording that can confuse AI. If you want the best results, you would just say to AI, just don't do it. That's that. Less is more. That's what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense. I really don't know if that makes sense, but that's the best description that I can give to you on a hair's notice. That's it. But research your chosen subject of interest. And if you start making purchases that go against that go against your wife's wishes, just know you're going to catch some hell. But if you do, you need to start netting results. That's it. That's all there is to it. If you want your wife's if you do not obtain your wife's approval before you do something, you better be dang sure that whatever it is that you are going to do is going to succeed, or that, I don't know if there's even an or. I mean, at this point, it's if you succeed, she's not going to be as mad, especially if you spend $300 and then make $6. That's it. And don't lord it over her. Don't make it a game. Don't that's the one thing is that I've really not, I don't know. I don't rub it in her nose that this is what I'm doing. I don't even talk about it. I just do it. I just go out and do it, and then I bring home a mouse. Think of me like a tomcat. I just go roam the streets, do whatever it is that I'm going to do, and I bring home dinner. I'm quite serious in that too. I didn't even ask her about spending money on AI. I just did it. And then I figured out how to make it work so that I can make an AI movie using my own face, my own intellectual property. And I'm able to now make a movie. Which, by the way, I need a voiceover. I canceled 11 Labs. 11 Labs is not ready for a true audio experience. You're basically really giving, like, you can't really dictate how the AI is going to do things. You can guide it, you can nudge it, but in the end the AI is going to it's either going to not sound like AI or it is. And what I found to be the biggest problem for me whenever it came to using AI to narrate my movie was that I couldn't control how much time it could fit a sentence into. I couldn't say that you need to complete this sentence with emotion in 3.5 seconds. Because really that's what I needed it to do, was to have a complete thing where it would have it done by a very specific time mark. And I couldn't make it work. Maybe I'm not smart enough, whatever. I just couldn't do it. So I'm going to do it myself. And despite what I think, people think my voice sounds great. So I'm going to do my best. My wife is home. She just drive in. She's about to come in behind me. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here, guys. Like and subscribe. I feel like I should say more about this because I feel like this is I feel like this is like I'm basically giving you guys dynamite and telling you guys to go have fun. And that's not what I want to do. I don't want to like get anybody in trouble. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I know that my father-in-law, that was his mentality. He would just do whatever he wanted to do. That man was a true maverick. There she is. Um, my father-in-law was a true maverick. He did not care. He will say whatever he wants. He will do whatever he wants. Like, whatever. And yet, at the same time, he can turn on the respect whenever he's in front of somebody he respects. He can flip that personality on its head and completely turn around, and he can actually be quite charming. He's a character. I'll say that for sure. But I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So have a contingency plan, guys. What if she really blows up? Listen, you guys know your guys' situation. You know your marriage. You know your wife. I hope you know your wife. You know what you're capable of getting away with and what you're not capable of getting away with. And if you push that button a lot of times already, and like you guys know the adage, the phrase, the whatever, like the straw that broke the camel's back. If you're already at that level, just don't. Just be smart. Be smart. And no matter what, no marriage or no adventure is worth killing your marriage over. No idea, no business plan, no money making scheme, nothing. I wonder if he's about to come in. Nothing is that important to kill your marriage. Because I'll tell you what, once that marriage dies, you've lost. You've lost. You've lost the game if it results in a divorce. If you have kids, you're now paying child support, which is, it's fine, but I feel that in many situations that a wife and a husband should be able to work those kind of terms out themselves without the state. But that's not the way this works in this country. So, you're paying child support, and the state gets a percentage of that. You calculate that over 18 years times, I don't know how many like 12 payments, 18 years. I don't know what's 12 times 18. Hey Siri, what's 12 times 18?
That would be 216.
That's 216 times that they took like 20% of what? $1,000? So $200? $200 for every time that you paid a child support. You paid them $200 that they get to keep. 200 times whatever that number was. You're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars. Your life is not over, but the game is over. Because now you got to go find a new wife, and you got to learn a new body, and you got to learn a new personality, and you may have to deal with her kids, and there's real problems with that. So don't kill your marriage for an idea, unless you absolutely know that this idea is going to pay off. And not just pay off, but pay off in the biggest way possible. And not just pay off in the biggest way possible, but pay off tomorrow. Because you can deal with the mafia, who'll kneecap you if you don't give them their money. But your wife will take everything. So be smart, be wise about what you're doing. Don't don't take my word for it just because this is my method and this is my way. I spent time thinking about what I needed to do, and whenever I need to make a business decision that involves spending money, I just do it without the support or without maybe even the knowledge of my wife. And it's worked out for me so far. Don't be surprised if that you don't achieve the same results. I'm hoping that this was a really good video. I don't know. I'm feeling questionable about it, but I'm gonna post it anyway, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and make a transcript of this and see what AI thinks. I already know AI is gonna be like, whatever, dude, whatever. It always does. Okay, have a great day, guys. Like and subscribe, please, 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 please. I need the views. I need the subscribers. I really do. I don't know what else I gotta say. Do I need to do a song and dance? I'm being silly. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.